Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Reynaldo, who is going to be a Gold Mythic character exclusively coming to the War Season 4 depot. Just like we had in past seasons where the character first comes into the depot, he will cost 55,000 of the War Depot tokens for each claim. And then no doubt will come back around in future seasons for cheaper. But if you want to get him, as that exclusive character, you need to drop the tokens. Visually, we can see he looks pretty cool. We've never had a Reynaldo in the game before. He's got the mask on. He's got a very cool looking weapon. It's an axe and it's got like a ram's head wrapped around it, the actual skull. I really like the visuals of this character, no doubt, on the right hand side. On the left hand side as well, showing you he doesn't take any prisoners, and the walker looks scared. Honestly, the walker looks scared. If we look at the stats, as a limit break 3 level 720 character, he has 20,228 attack, 10,114 defense, and 20,228 HP. He is a strong character, considered a support character, and has pretty weird stats for a support character. 10,000 defense. He is a mythic character, of course, and he is another character to join the new old California. I believe the only other character we've got so far in that allegiance is Lady Z. So, interesting. This allegiance is starting to take form. Now, first off, we'll look at his adrenaline rush, and it is called Bad Axe. It is a 55 AP cost rush. Deals 600% damage to a line of enemies. While battling on the offense team, this character gets 50% halo for 3 turns. This is interesting because I think a lot of people, when they initially would have seen this guy and what you can see of his kit so far, would probably have thought he would be a defense team character, but he is actually going to be an attack team character. And the halo is a nice little touch. It does mean that obviously if he gets nuked out somehow, he could potentially, take out a character that would hit him back with some damage, and it doesn't matter because he's got the halo. 600% damage is actually quite a lot to a single target, but it's to a line of enemies, so even better. This isn't too bad at all. His attack stat is actually quite high as well, so this should hit actually pretty hard. 55 AP is also very fast. If his signature move is in the first 2 turns, he will not need AP on attack. This does mean you could potentially build him a certain way, build up his HP as well as his attack stat. He won't need AP on attack to get that rush happening on a natural turn 3. Okay, so we have the adrenaline rush up here of Reynaldo, and you can see down the bottom we have got 2 fast characters. This is going to be trait damage. It's going to be very nice. So we're just going to hit them for a line. And that 600% is going to be pretty hefty. Now remember, this cannot crit. This is just going to be flat damage effectively. It will have some variance. It isn't going to be like maim, but you're just building attack stat if you do want to increase that attack damage. Going for anything to do with crit is not going to help here. Obviously, in this situation, unfortunately, they've got a character of halo, but so have we. As you can see, the 3-turn halo is on Reynaldo. And if you see the kind of natural rotation on his rush, he's going to pretty much have the halo up all the time, as long as he doesn't get controlled and stopped actually being able to do his rush, which is actually pretty decent. Now, going straight into the upgrades on the adrenaline rush, you can see at grade 3 it gets a 200% damage boost, so it goes from 200% up to 400%. At grade 5 it gets a full-on upgrade, and it has the on offense 50% halo for 3 turns added. So as long as you get 2 of this character, it will get the halo on attack teams. At limit break 2, the AP cost will be reduced probably from 66, I would assume, down to 55. This is actually quite a good change, just because, like I said, we'll not need an AP on attack weapon anymore. And at limit break 3, it gets another 200% damage boost. So it goes from 400% up to 600%. And I'd say this is quite important just because it cannot crit. So you're going to need to get that percentage damage up as high as possible. Not just on the rush, but also in his stats, and LB3 is going to help with both. So the rush is actually not too bad at all. It does seem pretty interesting, very heavy hitting, And it gives him some survivability. You know, he can potentially just go full nuke mode, all into attack stat, and then just get his rush off as quickly as possible. And it doesn't matter if he gets focused too much, because the halo is going to bring him back. So this is actually pretty interesting indeed. And you know how the AI works on defense teams? It does like to focus somebody, and it potentially could, you know, focus Reynaldo here. So this rush is a pretty decent start to what is a very new type of damage dealer. And as we move on to the signature move, we can see some more new things coming into this guy's kit. It is Breakthrough, initial cooldown of turn 2 and cooldown of 1 turn. This means he's going to have the AP turnaround for the rush 100%. It's going to be fine. Number of uses unlimited. Remove 100% of the target's current bonus HP. While battling on the offense team, deal 300% damage to that enemy. This is awesome, and the order this is going to happen in, it's going to remove the bonus HP first, then do the 300% damage hit. Really good. Really, really powerful for sure. You know how easily characters can get 100% bonus HP ramped up. There's multiple characters that do like 40%, and obviously the new tough healing weapons. You've seen the boost to the tough healing has gone to 10% rather than 5% on some of these weapons. I believe Priya and on Angel. And this guy is going to be coming in to deal with that bonus HP. I think this is actually pretty interesting. Not just for Reynaldo's kit himself, but the fact that this is going to be potentially something that is in the game going forward. Again, this should not actually be able to crit because it's dealing 300% damage rather than attacking, you know, for 300% damage. So it's going to work quite a lot like the Gentleman, where he's not going to be able to crit on his Adrenaline Rush or his signature move, but that also means he can't be controlled in either scenario either, which you could see as being quite a big bonus. Okay, so now we're going to be attacking, and one such character that has a lot of bonus HP that he puts onto teammates is Mr. Lu. As you can see, 40% bonus HP on himself, and it should go to any alert or strong teammate as well. But when we use the signature move here of Reynaldo, in this situation we could rush, but we're just showing you how the signature move works. It will remove the bonus HP first. We'll see the animation, how that works. And then it will obviously go into the actual HP with that 300% hit. So there goes the bonus HP. In comes the 300% hit. And you can see it's actually pretty decent. It works exactly how you would expect. Just removing the bonus HP. And it doesn't matter how much bonus HP this character's got. It will completely remove it, bypassed, and straight into that max HP. I'm liking the signature move a lot on this character, but like I say, also on the potential going forward on other characters in RTS. So looking into the upgrades of this signature move, you can see that it is actually going to be able to get maxed out quite easily. At grade 2, it gets a 50% damage boost, so it goes from 150% up to 200% damage. At grade 4, it gets a 50% boost to the remove bonus HP. So initially it is only removing 50% bonus HP, but at grade 4, which you can get just by getting 1 gold Mythic Reynaldo, it goes up to 100% removal. At limit break 1, you get another 100% damage boost, so it goes up to 300% damage to the enemy that you remove the bonus HP from. Like I say, this is really interesting to me, and it is nice to see some nice new little things coming into the game. The fact that the turnaround on this signature move in terms of like the initial cooldown and the cooldown is the turns they are. Like I said before, he's not going to need AP on attack as long as you get him to that 55 AP. It's going to be interesting to see what people decide. There is an issue with Gentleman in that third slot. Potentially could, obviously run into issues with Reynaldo here, but Greens do have some selection of weapons that you could go for. For instance, you could go for a revive weapon on Reynaldo in the third slot, so that when he does take someone out, he could potentially revive a teammate. That could be interesting in his hands, but there's definitely a few options, and I'm sure you're going to work something out. But I like this little bonus HP removal. Do let me know in the comments down below if you have any thoughts on how this could be used on other characters, if you have any sort of like little bit of creativity. But now we're going to move on to the Mythic Abilities, and these are his passive skills, of course. He is a support character, so he's going to get Cunning, and I like this a lot because a lot of characters, when they have rushes and signature moves that cannot crit, they will still be damage dealers, and that means they'll have agility, but that only will work with their basic attack. So it's nice to see Cunning come in here rather than it being another character with agility that just doesn't work on the character. Next up, we have another defense. When being attacked, this character gets 30% bonus HP. This is really good for if he is going to get dogpiled. It's going to keep him alive quite nicely. That first hit that he takes will go into his max HP, but then he'll get back the 30% bonus HP, and then the hits after that should basically be absorbed by his bonus HP, you'd at least hope, because his base HP is pretty high, although his base defense is very low. Next is Tank Buster. When attacking or using this character's Adrenaline Rush against enemies with the tank roll, gain 80% attack. This is actually pretty interesting because the multipliers are all going to come in, and that'll boost that 600% rush up quite heavily, up to, you know, close to over 1,000%, I believe, in terms of actually how hard that will hit. I don't think that's going to be a flat addition. That'll be a multiplier. So that's really interesting. He's going to be anti-tank, and we are seeing quite a few tank characters come into the game. So this guy could be a character that could potentially deal with them. Now, the last passive he's got is called Focus Here. At the start of each turn, 100% chance to taunt a single enemy for 2 turns. This is really nice. I thought his rush was pretty nice, hard hitting. His signature moves really interesting, got me thinking, but damn, his passives really put everything together. And obviously how other parts of his kit work, that taunt is going to be very, very important. Okay, so we're going to start things off on turn 1, and you can see when the fight starts, he has already taunted a character on the defense team at random. This time around, it will be Maggie. And I'm just going to show you his rush as quickly as possible. We might be able to get off on turn 1. And down the bottom, I have got 2 tanks. These are tank roll characters. And they should take additional damage based on the fact that they're tanks. I'm not sure if it's going to show us in green text above Reynaldo's avatar that it does this. But just keep an eye out and just see what happens. And it isn't going to tell us, but it's going to do, I believe, a lot more damage, which is actually pretty decent. I'm going to just hit the defend action on Jackie. Now, Reynaldo's going to get attacked by Maggie, 100% chance. But we'll see what the other characters do. But just watch his bonus HP, just see how it works. It goes into his main HP, then it hits the bonus HP, then it hits the bonus HP. And he's quite high. He's quite high. And as you can see, it did proc other parts of his kit. So he was doing damage basically for free. Now, he has re-taunted the same character in Maggie. The taunt of Garrett is on Rick's passive, but obviously you can just have multiple characters with these sort of passives and they can work together. However, pretty interestingly, he can taunt someone off turn 1 for 2 turns and then taunt a different enemy on turn 2 for 2 turns and effectively be taunting 2 separate characters at the same time. So he can actually get a reasonable amount of control considering he's not a control character. Quite nice indeed. If we look at the upgrades on his passives, you can see he gets another defense part 1 at grade 1, cunning part 1 at grade 2, and another defense 2 at grade 3. This means he's going to get the full 30% bonus HP by grade 3, which is nice for his, self-sustain, keeping him alive. Because his defense is so low, he is going to rely on that bonus HP if he does get, dogpiled, which I think he probably is, because his attack stat is going to just be through the roof on most people when they build him. The next one is Tank Buster Part 1 at grade 4, and then Focus Here Part 1 at grade 5. Then we move on to the limit breaks, and we get the second part of Cunning at limit break 1, the second part of Tank Buster at limit break 2, and the second part of Focus Here at limit break 3. Now, when it comes to his passives, I would say he needs to kind of be maxed out. This is where a lot of his power is. The 100% chance to taunt is actually a big deal, primarily because of what we're going to look at next. But Tank Buster, I think, is going to be really big because there are just so many tank characters around right now, and no doubt coming out in the future. If you are going to use this character, destroying tanks is going to be a big bonus for sure. Now, where I think the Taunt passive is going to be really useful is going to be with this specialist skill, and it is Bide 2. This character stores damage it takes from attacks, active abilities, and rushes after storing damage equal to 30% of its max HP, or if the defend action is used, deal 150% of the stored damage to one enemy immediately. Stored damage is reset to 0 after use. Bide does not trigger if this character is killed. This is actually kind of cool, the combo between a couple of those passives and this specialist skill. It is worth noting that I don't think this character is going to be like used to full potential as a Bide on an attack team, at least not for a little while. The second we start getting tanky alert characters on defense teams, that's when it's going to be like amazing, because we don't have too many alert tanks. We have like support characters and medics and stuff, but we don't have too many alert tanks just yet. The reason that'll be good is because Reynaldo will do bonus damage against them because they're tanks. He'll also more likely get focused by them because he is strong, and obviously the Bide is just going to kick back on that, and that's going to be really nice indeed. Now, I think people will probably look at the Bide 2 and go, well, it could have probably been a better specialist skill on a roll or follow-up or something. But you've got to remember that we've got to have a little bit of variance in some characters, and having something different isn't necessarily a bad thing. This is what RTS brings to the table. It's just like different types of characters. You know, there's a character for kind of like every season, and this is where you get those very special teams that come out. If every damage dealer is always just a follow-up or always just on a roll, it's just going to be kind of boring, honestly. So this is actually kind of interesting, especially with how, like I say, it works with his passives and the rest of his kit. Now, that's not all. Reynaldo has a unique weapon upgrade. It is Reynaldo's Savage Battle Axe, and it does look sick, I'm not going to lie. He has a 35% attack boost off of base, a huge bonus to AP when attacking off of base, and in the third slot, Taunt when hit. When being attacked, 30% chance to taunt an enemy for their next turn. Now, I'm going to test out exactly how this works. I'm not sure if it's the enemy that attacks, or is it just another random enemy. I'll put him on a defense team and just, you know, put a couple of attacks up against him. Now, it's a 4-star weapon. This means you are going to be able to ramp up the stats quite a lot. You could easily get that to 50% attack and then upgrade it, or you could go to 45% attack and give him the 30% HP so that his Bide does more damage. And then you could decide what you want to put in that 4 slot, because 1535 will boost his attack, you know, with the 15%. But the 35 crit is kind of going to waste. You might want to think of something else potentially, but having extra attack from, you know, 1535 isn't necessarily a bad thing. But that's where you could go for the AP on defense. You've got a couple of options at least. But I would definitely ramp up the attack stat after that and get it up to 55%, which is the max you can get on this weapon or any weapon. And that's going to be very nice for his rush, his signature move, and basically all the damage output he's going to bring to the table. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how the weapon works when it comes to the taunt. I wanted to know whether it was the character that attacked him or if it was going to be a random enemy basically on the same team, kind of like Steve's passive. It does seem to only be the character that attacks him gets taunted for 2 turns. And if you understand how the turn situation would work there, rather than it being a 2-turn taunt, it is only a 1-turn taunt, because the first of those 2 turns is the turn you actually get taunted. So like if I attack here, let's see if someone actually gets taunted. Wangfar, please. There we go. So you can see Wangfar's taunted for 2 turns, but when he attacks on the next turn, that'll be the 2nd turn already of that taunt. However, he has got a chance to re-proc that taunt when he does it, so he could sort of be like tied in, but again, it would be only 1 extra turn afterwards. And it would happen with every single character that attacks. Obviously, there's Bides going off, so we have got 2 characters taunted. He will taunt a 3rd now because of his passive. And I think he got Valkyrie, but because he killed her, obviously the taunt disappeared. And you can see that Wangfar's taunt reapplied, but Diamond's didn't. So if I defend, not Diamond, sorry, Jackie's. So if I defend on both these characters, Jackie shouldn't do a taunt here, a taunted attack. It should just be over. It's going to be Wangfa and the newly applied taunt onto Laupo. These taunts are going to be pretty crazy, and this is kind of making me think that he has got a bit of potential on defense teams if built correctly. So this is Gold Mythic Reynaldo, and like I said, he is going to be the next War Depot character, so keep an eye out for that. The new War season will be starting this coming weekend, so you'll be able to start working towards this character straight away. There should be 6 qualifiers that are CRWs, and then there'll be multiple blitzes throughout the season. That'll be enough tokens to get potentially, you know, a bunch of this character. I'm going to definitely be aiming to get this character myself, hopefully to LB3. Now, when I said he could potentially be used on a defense team, it is worth noting that you could potentially take, you know, advantage of the fact that he taunts with attack while taunted mods. So it isn't necessarily the way to go, but you never know. On an attack team, he's definitely going to be useful. Attack while taunted on defense team characters isn't exactly that great. And I think his kit works pretty well together. It comes together pretty well. Do give me your thoughts on Reynaldo, though, as a character coming to TWD RTS. That is the end of my video, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.